Stop, don't start that helicopter. Marcus Delgado sprinted across the tarmac, his work boots pounding against frozen concrete. Security guards tackled him to the ground. Tasers crackled. His body convulsed, but he kept screaming. "There's a bomb, for God's sake, there's a bomb!" Inside the helicopter, Victoria Ashford froze. Her hand hovered over her seatbelt. Through the window, she watched this stranger, this mechanic in grease-stained coveralls, fighting against 3 armed guards, blood streaming from his face, still screaming her name. Then she saw the little girl running behind him, clutching a crayon, drawing tears streaming down her face. "Daddy's telling the truth! The lady's gonna die!" Before we continue, drop a comment telling me which city you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels today. And if you haven't already, subscribe and stay until the end, because what they found inside that helicopter changed everything. The taser hit Marcus Delgado for the second time. His body seized, every muscle locked. He collapsed onto the frozen tarmac, his cheek pressed against concrete so cold it burned. But even as electricity coursed through his veins, even as his vision blurred and his heart stuttered, he kept his eyes fixed on that helicopter. "Sir, stay down." The security guard pressed a knee into his back. "Do not move." Marcus couldn't move. His body wasn't his anymore, but his mouth still worked. "The fuel line," he gasped. "Check the fuel line. There's a device. Please, you have to listen. I said stay down." Another guard grabbed his wrists, wrenching them behind his back. Zip ties bit into his skin. Marcus felt blood trickling from his nose, warm against the cold. 20 feet away, the helicopter's rotors began to spin. No. "Stop the engine!" Marcus screamed. "For the love of God, stop!" He'd seen the device during his final inspection. Tucked beneath the auxiliary fuel tank, a small black box with wires that shouldn't exist connected to a trigger mechanism that would activate when the aircraft reached cruising altitude. His supervisor had dismissed it. "VIP client, tight schedule, don't cause problems." But Marcus knew what problems looked like. He'd held his wife's hand in a hospital room 3 years ago, while doctors explained that the mechanical failure that brought down her plane had killed her instantly. He'd watched his daughter withdraw into silence, into drawings, into a world of visions that nobody believed. He knew what death looked like when it was dressed up as an accident. "Daddy!" Luna's voice cut through the chaos. Marcus twisted against his restraints, desperate to see her. She was running toward him, her small legs pumping, her blonde hair flying behind her. In her hand, clutched like a lifeline, was one of her drawings. "Luna, stay back," Marcus shouted. "Baby, go back inside." But Luna had never been good at listening. Not since her mother died. Not since the dream started. She pushed past a startled guard and threw herself onto the ground beside Marcus, pressing her drawing against the concrete so he could see it. "I drew it, Daddy. I drew it last night. Look." Marcus looked. The drawing showed a helicopter. Orange and red flames surrounded it. A woman's figure fell from the sky. Arms outstretched, mouth open in a silent scream. Below the image, in Luna's careful 7-year-old handwriting, were 2 words, "Sad lady." Marcus's blood turned to ice. Luna's drawings were never wrong. The night before Elena died, Luna had drawn an airplane with broken wings. Marcus had laughed it off. Coincidence, he'd told himself. Children's imagination. He'd buried his wife 3 days later. "Please," Marcus begged the guards, his voice cracking. "Please, I'm not crazy. Just check the helicopter. I'm a certified mechanic, Boeing certified. I found something during inspection. Just look. That's all I'm asking. Just look." The security chief, a thick-necked man named Patterson, sneered down at him. "Buddy, do you have any idea who's on that helicopter? Victoria Ashford, CEO of Ashford Dynamics, $4 billion company. And you think we're gonna delay her flight because some grease monkey had a bad feeling?" "It's not a feeling. I found physical evidence. Save it for the cops. Patterson pulled out his radio. This is Patterson. We have a trespasser in custody, possible mental health crisis. Send backup and... Wait. The voice was female, commanding, cold as the Chicago winter. Everyone froze. Victoria Ashford stood at the helicopter's open door, one Louboutin heel planted on the step, her Hermes coat billowing in the rotor wash. She was tall, sharp-featured, with dark hair pulled back in a severe bun that made her look like a weapon in human form. Her eyes, gray-piercing, utterly unreadable, fixed on Marcus. What did you find? Patterson stepped forward. Ms. Ashford, please return to your seat. This man is... I asked him a question. Victoria's voice didn't rise, but something in it made Patterson flinch. What did you find? Marcus swallowed hard. His nose was still bleeding. His wrists burned from the zip ties, but he looked directly into Victoria Ashford's eyes and spoke clearly. A device, attached to your auxiliary fuel tank. Black box roughly 4 inches square with a wire running to your fuel pressure sensor. It's designed to trigger when your aircraft reaches a specific altitude, probably around 5,000 feet. Based on the configuration, I'd estimate the explosive yield is enough to rupture your fuel tank and ignite a fire that would destroy the helicopter within seconds. Silence. Victoria stared at him. You saw all that during a routine inspection. I've been working on aircraft for 12 years, ma'am. I know what belongs on a helicopter. That device doesn't belong. And yet you're the only one who noticed. I flagged it in my report. My supervisor said the client was in a hurry. Marcus's jaw tightened. He told me not to cause problems. Victoria's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Something that looked almost like recognition. My pilot and my security team inspected this helicopter this morning. Then they missed it, or they didn't want to see it. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. Luna tugged on Victoria's coat. The little girl had somehow slipped past the guards, her drawing still clutched in her hand. Please, lady, please don't go in the sky. Victoria looked down at the child, at the tear-streaked face, at the drawing of flames and falling. What's this? I saw it in my dream. Luna's voice trembled. The helicopter goes boom. You fall down. Nobody catches you. Luna, Marcus started. But Victoria had already taken the drawing. She studied it for a long moment. The crude shapes, the desperate colors, the 2 words written at the bottom, sad lady. When she looked up, her expression had changed. What's your name? Marcus. Marcus Delgado. And the girl, and my daughter, Luna. Your wife. Marcus's throat tightened. Dead. 3 years ago, plane crash. Victoria was quiet for a moment. Then she turned to Patterson. Check the helicopter. Ms. Ashford, with all due respect, I didn't ask for your respect. Victoria's voice could have frozen steel. I asked you to check my helicopter, every inch, right now. And if this man is right, if there's even a loose wire that shouldn't be there, you will personally explain to me why your team missed it. Patterson's face went red, but he nodded sharply and barked orders into his radio. Victoria walked toward Marcus. She stopped 3 feet away, looking down at him where he still lay restrained on the ground. Cut him loose. Ma'am, now. A guard produced a knife and sliced through the zip ties. Marcus sat up slowly, rubbing his raw wrists. Blood dripped from his nose onto his coveralls. Victoria pulled a silk handkerchief from her pocket and offered it to him. You're bleeding. Marcus hesitated, then took it. The fabric was probably worth more than his monthly rent. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Victoria's eyes never left his face. If you're wrong about this, you've just committed assault on federal property, trespassing, and interfering with a flight operation. You'll lose your job, your certifications, and possibly your custody of that little girl. Marcus met her gaze steadily. And if I'm right. Victoria didn't answer, but she didn't look away either. 23 minutes. That's how long it took for Patterson's team to find the device. Marcus sat on an equipment crate Luna pressed against his side, watching as bomb squad technicians in full protective gear swarmed the helicopter. Red and blue lights painted the tarmac. FBI agents had arrived. Fire trucks stood ready. And Victoria Ashford sat beside him, utterly still, watching her helicopter like it was a snake that might strike at any moment. "Ma'am." Patterson approached, his face the color of old concrete. "We found it. Exactly where he said it would be." Victoria didn't look at him. "And military grade, remote trigger with altitude backup, if you'd reached 5,000 feet. Patterson's voice cracked. 15 minutes into the flight, right over the lake. 15 minutes. Over Lake Michigan. No chance of survival. No chance of rescue, just fire and falling and cold, dark water. Victoria's hands trembled slightly. It was the only sign that she'd heard. "Who had access to my helicopter?" "That's we're looking into it, ma'am." "Who had access?" Patterson flinched. "Your security team, the maintenance crew, and—" He hesitated. "And Mr. Hayes, he visited the hangar 2 days ago." Victoria's face went blank. "Derek was here. He said he wanted to check on some equipment. Said you'd authorized it. I didn't think—" "Get out of my sight." Patterson retreated so fast he nearly tripped. Marcus watched Victoria's profile. She hadn't moved, but something had changed in her expression. The cold corporate mask had cracked just slightly, revealing something raw beneath. "Who's Derek?" he asked quietly. Victoria was silent for a long moment. "My ex-husband," she finally said. "Derek Hayes, venture capitalist. We divorced 8 months ago." "Messy. He lost half his fortune in the settlement." Victoria's voice was flat. "He told me I'd regret it, that I'd pay for what I did to him." "You think he did this?" "I think Derek has always believed that anything he can't own, he should destroy." Victoria turned to look at Marcus. "Including me." Luna stirred against Marcus's side. She was drawing again. She was always drawing, her crayons moving across a fresh sheet of paper. "She's remarkable," Victoria said, watching the little girl. "Most children would be traumatized by something like this. She seems calm. She's seen worse." Marcus stroked Luna's hair. "After her mother died, she stopped talking for 6 months. Just drew pictures. Her therapist said it was her way of processing." "And the dreams," Marcus hesitated. This was the part that made people look at him like he was crazy, like Luna was crazy. "They started right after Elena died. Luna would wake up screaming, saying she'd seen things. A fire at her school 3 days later, the cafeteria caught fire. A car accident on our street a week later, our neighbor was hit by a drunk driver." He swallowed hard. "I tried to ignore it, told myself it was coincidence, but then what? Then Luna drew a picture of me meeting someone. A tall woman with dark hair and sad eyes. She said this woman needed our help." Marcus looked at Victoria. "She drew that picture 6 months ago." Victoria stared at him. "You're saying your daughter predicted this, that we would meet?" "I'm saying my daughter sees things that haven't happened yet. I don't know how. I don't know why. I just know she's never been wrong." Marcus glanced at Luna's drawing. "And I know that tonight she woke up screaming your name." Victoria opened her mouth to respond, and then her phone rang. She looked at the screen. Her face went white. "What is it?" Marcus asked. Victoria showed him the text message. It was from a blocked number, 3 words: "Next time you won't have a warning." The FBI took over the investigation immediately. Agent Sophia Chen, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s with silver streaking her black hair, established a command center in the hangar's administrative building. Marcus watched as she interviewed pilot, security staff, and maintenance crew with the focused intensity of a surgeon. Mr. Delgado. Agent Chen approached him with a tablet in hand. Your report says you noticed the device during a routine inspection. Walk me through exactly what you saw. Marcus described it again. The black box, the wire configuration, the trigger mechanism. Agent Chen's expression remained neutral, but her eyes sharpened at certain details. You have technical training in explosives. No, ma'am, just aircraft systems, but I've seen things that don't belong before. What do you mean? Marcus hesitated. Luna was asleep now, curled up on a cot that one of the agents had found. He didn't want to say this in front of her, even if she couldn't hear. My wife, Elena, she died 3 years ago in a plane crash. They said it was mechanical failure, but I knew that plane. I'd checked it myself the week before. Everything was perfect. His voice hardened. Someone killed my wife and made it look like an accident. I couldn't prove it then, but I learned to recognize when something's been tampered with. Agent Chen studied him for a long moment. Elena Delgado, small private aircraft crashed in Wisconsin 3 years ago. You know the case. I know all unsolved cases involving suspicious aircraft incidents in this region. Chen's expression softened slightly. I'm sorry for your loss, Mr. Delgado, and I want you to know we're going to look into your wife's case as part of this investigation. Marcus felt something crack open in his chest. 3 years. 3 years of knowing Elena was murdered and being told he was paranoid, grief-stricken, irrational. Thank you, he whispered. Don't thank me yet. Chen glanced across the room to where Victoria was being interviewed by another agent. We need to talk about Mrs. Ashford's ex-husband. Derek Hayes. What about him? His name came up in our files. He was investigated 2 years ago for securities fraud in connection with a company called Reyes Dynamics. The investigation was dropped due to insufficient evidence, but... Chen paused. The CEO of Reyes Dynamics died in a plane crash shortly after. A woman named Elena Reyes. Marcus stopped breathing. Elena Reyes. That was my wife's maiden name. I know. Chen's voice was gentle. Elena Reyes Delgado was the founder of Reyes Dynamics before she sold the company. She retained a small ownership stake and was scheduled to testify in a fraud investigation just 2 weeks before her death. The world tilted. Marcus grabbed the edge of a table to steady himself. Are you saying... I'm saying Derek Hayes had a connection to your wife's company, and now he's connected to an attempt on Victoria Ashford's life. Chen's jaw tightened. We're looking at a pattern, Mr. Delgado, and patterns don't lie. Victoria found him 30 minutes later. Marcus was standing outside the hangar, breathing in the bitter Chicago air, trying to process everything he'd learned. Elena, Derek Hayes, a web of connections he'd never known existed. Agent Chen told you, Victoria said. It wasn't a question. Marcus nodded. I didn't know. Victoria stood beside him, staring out at the tarmac. About your wife, about Elena's connection to Derek. I didn't know any of it. How could you? You didn't even know I existed. But I knew Elena. Marcus turned sharply. What? Victoria's composure cracked slightly. For the first time, she looked less like a CEO and more like a woman carrying an unbearable weight. Elena Reyes was my roommate at Stanford, freshman year. She swallowed. We were best friends, the only real friend I ever had. Marcus felt the ground shift beneath his feet. That's not possible. Elena would have mentioned. We lost touch. Victoria's voice trembled. After she got married, after I started my company, I was so focused on building my empire that I let the most important relationship of my life fade away. Tears gathered in her eyes. I didn't even know she died until tonight. Marcus didn't know what to say. This woman, this billionaire CEO he'd tackled on a tarmac 2 hours ago, had been his wife's closest friend. Elena had never mentioned her. Had she been protecting Victoria, protecting Marcus? Or had their friendship simply fallen victim to the distance that comes with busy lives and separate paths? Elena used to talk about her dreams, Victoria continued softly. Not regular dreams. She said she could sense things sometimes, feel when something bad was coming. She looked at Marcus. Your daughter has the same gift, doesn't she? I don't know if I'd call it a gift. What would you call it? Marcus thought about Luna's drawings, the fire, the accident, the tall woman with titties. A burden, he said freely, one she's too young to carry. Victoria was quiet for a moment. Then she reached into her coat and pulled out her phone. I need to show you something. She opened her email and scrolled to a message dated 3 years ago. The sender, elena.delgado@gmail.com. Marcus's heart stopped. She sent this 2 weeks before she died, Victoria said. I never opened it. I was in the middle of a merger and I thought I'd read it later. Respond when I had time. Her voice broke. I never had time. Marcus took the phone with shaking hands. The email was short. Bella, I know we haven't talked in years, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for a lot of things. But I need to tell you something important. If anything happens to me, find Marcus, find Luna. They're going to need you someday, and I think you're going to need them too. I can't explain how I know this, but you remember how I used to get feelings about things, that sense when something was coming. Something's coming, Bella. Something bad. And when it does, Marcus will be there. Trust him. He's the best man I've ever known. And Luna will show you the way, just like she's shown me. I love you. I always have. I'm sorry I wasn't better at saying it. Your sister in everything but blood, Elena. Marcus couldn't see the words anymore. His vision had blurred with tears. She knew, he whispered. She knew something was going to happen to her. And she knew something was going to happen to me. Victoria's voice was barely audible. 3 years ago, Elena knew that someday you'd save my life. They stood together in the freezing darkness, two strangers bound by a dead woman's love, trying to make sense of a mystery that defied explanation. And somewhere inside the hangar, Luna slept peacefully, her hands still wrapped around a crayon, her dreams finally quiet. The next morning, everything changed again. Marcus woke to the sound of voices, urgent, angry voices coming from the command center. He'd spent the night in the hangar, refusing to leave Victoria's side despite Agent Chen's assurances that she was safe. Luna was still asleep on the cot, but she stirred as Marcus stood. Daddy, it's okay, baby, stay here. He moved toward the command center where a cluster of agents stood around Agent Chen's tablet. Their faces were grim. What happened? Marcus asked. Chen looked up. Her expression made his blood run cold. Derek Hayes. He went off-grid last night, emptied his bank accounts, destroyed his phones, vanished from his apartment. She turned the tablet so Marcus could see. But before he disappeared, he sent this. It was a video. Marcus pressed play. Derek Hayes filled the screen. Handsome, silver-haired with the polished veneer of old money. But his eyes were wrong. Too bright, too wild. Victoria, Derek said, his voice eerily calm. You thought you could take everything from me. My company, my reputation, my future. You thought I'd just disappear quietly while you played queen of your little empire. He smiled, and it was the most terrifying thing Marcus had ever seen. I want you to know something. That bomb, that was just the beginning. A warning shot. I've been planning this for 3 years, ever since your friend Elena tried to expose me. You remember Elena, don't you? Sweet Elena who thought she could bring me down with her testimony. Marcus's fists clenched. Elena learned what happens to people who cross me, and now you're going to learn too, but I'm not going to kill you quickly, Victoria. That would be too merciful. I'm going to destroy everything you love, everything you've built, everyone you care about. Derek leaned closer to the camera. Run if you want. Hide. It won't matter. I have people everywhere. In your company, in your security team. Maybe even in the FBI. He laughed softly. Enjoy your borrowed time, Victoria. I'll be seeing you soon. The video ended. Marcus turned to find Victoria standing behind him. She'd seen everything. Her face was chalk white, but her jaw was set. He killed Elena, she said flatly. He admitted it. It's enough for an arrest warrant, Chen confirmed. But we need to find him first, and if he's telling the truth about having people on the inside, then none of us are safe. Victoria's voice was steady despite her pallor. What do you recommend, Agent Chen? Chen exchanged a glance with her team. Protective custody, safe house, minimal staff, all thoroughly vetted. She hesitated. Ms. Ashford, I have to be honest with you. If Derek Hayes has infiltrated your organization as deeply as he claims, then anyone in your inner circle could be compromised. Your security chief, your assistant, your pilot. Raymond. Victoria's eyes narrowed. Raymond Patterson. He's been with me for 5 years. We're investigating everyone. But until we have answers, I'd recommend trusting no one from your previous life. Victoria nodded slowly. Then she turned to Marcus. And what about them? Chen followed her gaze to Luna, who had appeared in the doorway clutching her drawing pad. Mr. Delgado and his daughter saved your life, Chen said. They're the only people we can confirm aren't connected to Derek Hayes. In fact, given Luna's abilities, I'd recommend keeping them close. You believe in her visions? I believe in evidence, Ms. Ashford, and the evidence suggests that little girl knew about a bomb that none of my trained investigators detected. Chen's expression softened. However she does it, she sees things, and right now we need every advantage we can get. Victoria looked at Marcus. You don't owe me anything, she said quietly. You've already saved my life. You should take your daughter and go somewhere safe. Marcus thought about Elena, about the email she'd written 3 years ago, about the photograph Luna had drawn 6 months ago, a tall woman with dark hair and sad eyes who needed their help. Elena sent us to you, he said. Whatever this is, whatever's coming, we're supposed to face it together. Victoria held his gaze for a long moment. You barely know me. I know Elena trusted you. That's enough. Something shifted in Victoria's expression. A crack in the armor. A glimpse of the woman beneath the CEO. Thank you, she whispered. Luna tugged on Marcus's sleeve. Daddy, I had another dream. Marcus knelt beside her. What did you see, baby? Luna's green eyes were solemn. The bad man is coming. He has help, someone inside. She looked at Victoria. But don't worry, Mommy says we'll stop him. Marcus and Victoria exchanged a glance. How? Victoria asked. How do we stop him? Luna considered this seriously. Together, she said simply. We're stronger together. Mommy said so. And somewhere in the cold Chicago morning, with a killer on the loose and danger closing in, 2 strangers and a little girl took their first steps toward a destiny that Elena Delgado had foreseen 3 years ago. The safe house was on Lake Geneva, 90 minutes from Chicago. Agent Chen had chosen it personally, a secluded estate on the Wisconsin shore equipped with state-of-the-art security systems and a small team of trusted agents. Victoria, Marcus, and Luna were escorted there under armed guard, taking back roads and switching vehicles twice. Derek will expect us to go to New York, Victoria explained as they drove. My apartment there, my main office. He'll have people watching both. So we hide in Wisconsin while the FBI hunts him down. Marcus didn't bother hiding his frustration. What if they don't find him? Then we prepare. Victoria's voice was calm, but her hands were clasped tightly in her lap. Derek is brilliant, but he's arrogant. He thinks he's already won. That arrogance will be his weakness. Marcus looked at her. You sound like you've done this before. I built a $4 billion company from nothing. A ghost of a smile crossed Victoria's face. I've survived hostile takeovers, market crashes, and a board of directors who tried to vote me out twice. Derek Hayes is just another obstacle. He's a murderer. Then he's an obstacle who needs to be removed permanently. Victoria met his eyes. I don't intend to spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, Marcus. And I don't intend to let Elena's death go unanswered. There was steel in her voice. Steel that Marcus recognized because he'd forged the same steel inside himself during the long grief-soaked months after Elena's death. Good, he said quietly. Neither do I. Luna, sitting between them, reached out and took both their hands. Don't be scared, she said. This is how it's supposed to be. Mommy told me. Victoria squeezed her small fingers. What else did Mommy tell you? Luna thought about it. She said you were sisters, not by blood, but by something stronger. She looked up at Victoria. She said you'd be my new mommy someday. Victoria's breath caught. Marcus felt his heart stutter. Luna, he started. That's not... It's okay, Daddy. Luna smiled serenely. Not yet. But later. After we stop the bad man. After everyone's safe. She yawned. Mommy says patience is important. She closed her eyes and fell asleep within seconds, leaving Marcus and Victoria to process her words in stunned silence. The safe house was beautiful in a cold and isolated way. 3 stories of glass and steel overlooking the frozen lake. Private dock currently icebound. Security cameras on every corner. Agents patrolling the grounds in shifts. But none of it made Marcus feel safe. We're sitting ducks here, he said to Agent Chen as they toured the property. If Derek has the resources he claims, he could breach this place in hours. He could try. Chen's voice was confident. But we've got counter-surveillance running 24/7, armed response units 3 minutes away, and satellite monitoring of all approaches. She paused. Plus we have Luna. Marcus frowned. She's not a security system. She's a 7-year-old girl. She's also the only person who successfully predicted Derek's moves. Chen's expression softened. I'm not suggesting we use her, Mr. Delgado. I'm suggesting we listen to her. There's a difference. Before Marcus could respond, his phone buzzed. An unknown number. He answered cautiously. Hello. Mr. Delgado. The voice was male, unfamiliar, with a slight accent Marcus couldn't place. My name is Raymond Patterson. I believe you know who I am. Marcus's blood went cold. Victoria's security chief. Former security chief. I've been reassigned. A dry laugh. Listen carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. Derek Hayes didn't act alone. He has partners. Powerful partners. People inside Ashford Dynamics. People inside the government. Why are you telling me this? Because I made a mistake. Patterson's voice cracked. I took Derek's money. I looked the other way when he accessed that hangar. I thought it was just corporate espionage. I didn't know he was planning murder. You helped him try to kill Victoria. I helped him gain access. What he did with that access? Patterson exhaled sharply. I have children, Mr. Delgado. 3 daughters. Derek made it very clear what would happen to them if I didn't cooperate. Marcus gripped the phone tighter. What do you want? To make it right. I have documents, financial records, emails, communication logs, proof of everything Derek has done, including your wife's murder. Patterson's voice dropped. Elena Delgado found the same evidence 3 years ago. That's why she had to die. Where are these documents? Hidden. Somewhere Derek will never find them. But I'll give them to you personally if you promise to protect my family. Why me? Why not the FBI? Because I don't know who in the FBI Derek owns. But I know you're not compromised. Elena trusted you. That's good enough for me. Marcus closed his eyes. This could be a trap, a way for Derek to locate them. But if Patterson was telling the truth, if there was proof of Elena's murder, where and when, he asked. Tomorrow, midnight. The old lighthouse on North Point, 10 miles from your current location. Patterson paused. Come alone. Tell no one. If I see any sign of law enforcement, I disappear and the documents disappear with me. The line went dead. Marcus stood frozen, the phone still pressed to his ear, his mind racing. Tell no one. But how could he keep this from Victoria, from Agent Chen? This could be the break they needed, or it could be the trap that killed them all. He looked through the window at Luna, who was drawing at the kitchen table while Victoria watched. As if sensing his gaze, Luna looked up. She met his eyes through the glass, and slowly, deliberately, she nodded. Marcus's decision was made. Marcus waited until midnight. He'd spent the evening playing board games with Luna, helping Victoria review security protocols, acting like everything was normal. But his mind kept returning to Patterson's phone call, the documents, Elena's murder, proof. 3 years he'd waited for proof. 3 years of being told he was paranoid, grief-stricken, irrational. Now proof was 10 miles away, waiting at an abandoned lighthouse. He checked on Luna one final time. She was asleep, her small body curled around a stuffed rabbit that Elena had given her. On the nightstand lay her latest drawing, a lighthouse with a single figure standing at its base. Marcus's figure. She'd known. Of course she'd known. He kissed her forehead and slipped out of the room. The hallway was quiet. 2 agents stood guard at the main entrance, their backs to him. Marcus moved toward the service door that led to the garage, a route he'd memorized during the afternoon tour. Going somewhere. Marcus froze. Victoria stood in the shadows, arms crossed, still fully dressed despite the late hour. I couldn't sleep, he said. Thought I'd get some air. Through the garage. Victoria, Patterson called you. It wasn't a question. I saw your face change during dinner. Something happened and you've been planning this ever since. Marcus exhaled slowly. There was no point in lying. He has proof. Documents that could put Derek away forever. Evidence about Elena's murder. And he wants you to meet him alone in the middle of the night at an isolated location. Victoria's voice was flat. That doesn't sound like a trap to you. It sounds like my only chance to get justice for my wife. It sounds like suicide. Maybe. Marcus met her eyes, but Luna nodded at me through the window. She saw this coming. She approved. Victoria was quiet for a long moment. Then I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. If this is a trap, you'll need backup. Victoria stepped closer. Elena was my friend too, Marcus, my sister. If there's proof of what Derek did to her, I want to be there when we find it. The FBI? Patterson said no FBI. He doesn't trust them. Neither do I at this point. Victoria's jaw tightened. Derek claimed he has people inside the bureau. Until we know who's compromised, we trust no one but each other. Marcus wanted to argue, wanted to protect her. But he saw the steel in her eyes, the same steel he'd seen on the tarmac when she'd ordered Patterson to check the helicopter. Fine, he said, but we do this my way. You stay in the car unless I signal. If anything goes wrong, you drive straight back here and tell Chen everything. Agreed. They moved together toward the garage. Neither of them noticed the shadow that detached itself from the darkness behind them and followed. The drive to North Point took 20 minutes. Marcus kept to back roads, his headlights cutting through freezing fog. Victoria sat beside him, a handgun she'd taken from the safe house security room resting in her lap. "You know how to use that? I grew up in foster care, Marcus. I know how to use a lot of things." He glanced at her. Elena never mentioned that. Elena never mentioned a lot of things. We both had secrets. Victoria stared out the window. "I was 14 when I entered the system. Bounced between 7 homes in 4 years, the last one." She trailed off. "Let's just say I learned to defend myself." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It made me who I am." Victoria's voice hardened. "When I met Elena at Stanford, I was angry at the world, ready to burn everything down. She was the first person who made me believe I could build something instead." "That sounds like her." "She saved my life, Marcus, not literally, although there were nights when I wasn't sure I wanted to keep going. But she gave me hope, made me believe I was worth something." Victoria turned to look at him. "When I found out she was dead, that she'd been dead for 3 years while I was too busy to even open her email." Her voice cracked. Marcus reached over and took her hand. "She forgave you." "I know she did. Elena never held grudges." "How do you know?" "Because she married me even after I forgot our first anniversary." A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "I was working a double shift, completely spaced it. Came home to find her sitting at a candlelit dinner she'd prepared alone, and I thought she'd never speak to me again." "What did she do?" "Laughed. Said she'd just add it to my tab." Marcus's smile faded. "I never got to pay that tab. She died 2 months later." They drove in silence for another mile. Then Victoria spoke again. "We're going to find the proof, Marcus. We're going to make Derek pay for what he did, and then we're going to finish what Elena started." "What do you mean?" "Her email mentioned Luna showing me the way, showing us the way." Victoria squeezed his hand. "I don't know what that means yet, but I'm going to find out." The lighthouse appeared through the fog, a dark spire against the darker sky. Marcus pulled the car behind a cluster of dead trees, killing the engine. "Stay here," he said. "Marcus, I mean it. If I'm not back in 15 minutes, leave." He didn't wait for her response. He slipped out of the car and moved toward the lighthouse, his boots crunching on frozen gravel. The structure was old, abandoned, the kind of place teenagers came to drink and dare each other to explore. Marcus could see why Patterson had chosen it, isolated, multiple escape routes impossible to approach without being seen. He reached the base of the lighthouse and pressed his back against the cold stone. "Patterson," he called softly. "I'm here." Silence, then footsteps. A figure emerged from the darkness, tall, broad-shouldered, with the bearing of a former military man. Raymond Patterson looked like hell. His expensive suit was rumpled, his face unshaven, his eyes haunted. "You came alone, like you asked." Patterson's eyes darted past Marcus, scanning the trees, the road, the fog. "You're either very brave or very stupid, Mr. Delgado." "Probably both. Where are the documents?" Patterson reached into his coat. Marcus tensed, but the man only produced a thick manila envelope. "Everything's here. Financial records showing Derek's payments to the people who sabotaged your wife's plane. Emails discussing the timeline. Communication logs between Derek and his contact inside the NTSB. That's how the crash was ruled an accident." Marcus's hands shook as he took the envelope. "Why?" he asked. "Why did he kill her?" "Because she was going to expose him." Patterson's voice was tired. Elena found evidence of massive fraud at Reyes Dynamics, the company she'd founded. Derek had taken it over through shell corporations and was using it to launder money for some very dangerous people. She was going to testify. He couldn't let that happen. And Victoria. Same reason, different method. Victoria's company has been acquiring smaller tech firms for years. One of those firms was a front for Derek's operation. She was getting too close to the truth without even knowing it. Patterson met Marcus's eyes as he tried to kill her to protect his empire. When that failed, he decided to burn everything down instead. Where is he now? I don't know. That's the truth. After the bomb failed, he went underground, cut all contact with his network. Patterson hesitated. But there's something else you need to know. Derek isn't working alone. He has a partner. Someone inside Victoria's company, someone high up. Who? I don't know their identity. Derek was careful, but I know they've been feeding him information for years. Security protocols, travel schedules, personal details. Patterson's face darkened. Whoever it is, they're close to her, very close. Marcus's blood ran cold. We need to warn her. That's why I'm giving you these documents. The FBI is compromised. Victoria's inner circle is compromised. You're the only person I'm certain Derek hasn't gotten to. Patterson gripped Marcus's arm. Protect her, Mr. Delgado, and protect your daughter. Because if Derek finds out, Luna can see his moves before he makes them. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Your family, Marcus said. You said you have daughters. Already moved. Safe house in Canada. Old army buddy is watching them. Patterson's expression softened. This is my penance, Mr. Delgado, for looking the other way, for helping a monster. Patterson. A red dot appeared on Patterson's forehead. Marcus's stomach dropped. Get down! The shot came before Patterson could move. His head snapped back. Blood sprayed across Marcus's face. Patterson crumpled to the ground, dead, before he hit the frozen earth. Marcus dove behind the lighthouse wall, his heart pounding, the envelope clutched to his chest. Another shot. Stone chips exploded inches from his head. Sniper. Long range. Professional. Marcus! Victoria's voice. She was running toward him, gun raised, completely exposed. Victoria, no, stay back! A third shot kicked up dirt at Victoria's feet. She dropped and rolled, finding cover behind a pile of old lumber. Are you hit? She screamed. No, Patterson's dead, sniper in the trees. Marcus's mind raced. They were pinned down. No cover between their positions and the car. The sniper had the high ground and all the time in the world. Then he heard it. An engine. Coming fast. Headlights exploded through the fog. Not one vehicle, but three, Heredicia. Black SUVs, military grade, converging on their position. Derek's men. Marcus looked at Victoria across the killing ground between them. 20 feet of open space, 20 feet that might as well have been 20 miles. Victoria, you need to run. Get to the car. Get back to Luna. I'm not leaving you. If we both die here, Luna has no one. Go. Another shot. This one hit the lumber pile, sending splinters flying. Victoria flinched but held her ground. Together or not at all, Marcus. That's what you said. The SUVs were getting closer. Marcus could see armed men through the windshields. He made a decision. On 3 we run, straight for the car, don't stop for anything. The sniper? We'll have to choose between 2 targets, 50-50 chance. Victoria laughed, a wild, terrified laugh. I hate those odds. Best I can offer, 1, 2, Marcus. Victoria's voice cut through his countdown. If we don't make it, we'll make it. If we don't tell Luna, I understand now. What she meant about being sisters. Marcus's throat tightened. 3. They ran. The sniper fired. The bullet whizzed past Marcus's ear so close he felt the heat of its passage. He grabbed Victoria's hand, hauling her forward, his legs pumping against the frozen ground. 20 feet became 15. 15 became 10. An SUV screeched around the lighthouse headlights, blinding. 5 feet. Marcus wrenched open the driver's door, shoved Victoria inside, threw himself behind the wheel. The engine roared to life. Bullets punched through the rear window as he floored the accelerator. "Stay down!" He pushed Victoria's head below the dashboard. The car fishtailed on the icy road tires, screaming as more shots peppered the trunk. Marcus drove like a man possessed. Back roads, sharp turns, anything to break the line of sight. Behind them, the SUVs gave chase. "They're gaining!" Victoria shouted. "I know!" Marcus yanked the wheel, sending them down a narrow dirt path between dead trees. "There's a bridge ahead, old wooden thing over a creek. If we can make it across, and what? It won't hold their weight, not those vehicles." Victoria stared at him. "Will it hold ours? Guess we'll find out." The bridge materialized out of the fog, ancient, rotting, barely wide enough for a single car. Marcus didn't slow down. "Hold on." They hit the bridge at 60 miles an hour. Wood groaned, planks snapped beneath their tires, the car lurched sickeningly to one side. Then they were across. Marcus spun the wheel, skidding to a stop, turning to watch. The first SUV hit the bridge without hesitation. For a moment, one impossible moment, it looked like it might make it. Then the entire structure collapsed. The SUV plunged into the frozen creek with a tremendous crash of wood and ice and metal. The second and third vehicles slammed their brakes, skidding to a stop at the edge of the shattered bridge. Marcus didn't wait to see if they'd find another way across. He floored the accelerator and drove. They reached the safe house at 3 in the morning. Agent Chen met them at the door, her face a mask of barely controlled fury. "Where the hell have you been?" "It's a long story." Marcus pushed past her. "Where's Luna?" "Asleep, guarded. Unlike you, who decided to take a midnight stroll without telling anyone. Patterson called me. He had evidence, documents proving Derek killed Elena and tried to kill Victoria." Marcus pulled the blood-stained envelope from his coat. "He's dead now. Sniper took him out. Derek's men tried to kill us too." Chen's anger shifted to something colder, more professional. "You have documents, everything. Financial records, emails, communication logs." Marcus handed her the envelope. "Patterson said Derek has a partner inside Victoria's company. Someone close to her. He didn't know who." Chen opened the envelope, scanning the contents. Her face went pale. This is incredible. This proves everything, the fraud, the murders, the cover-up." She looked up. "This will destroy Derek Hayes. Only if we can find him first. We'll find him." Chen's jaw set. "I'm calling in a federal task force. Witness protection for you and your daughter. Maximum security until Derek is in custody." "No!" Everyone turned. Victoria stood in the doorway, her clothes still dirty from the chase, her face streaked with dried tears. "No witness protection. No hiding. Ms. Ashford, Derek wants to destroy me, fine. Let him try." Victoria's voice was cold as the winter outside. "But I'm done running. Done being afraid. It's time to take the fight to him. That's incredibly dangerous. So is letting a psychopath control my life." Victoria looked at Marcus. "Patterson said Derek has a partner inside my company. Someone close to me. That means someone I trusted, someone I brought into my home. My business, my life has been working with the man who killed Elena." Her hands clenched into fists. "I want to know who, and I want to look them in the eye when they're arrested." Chen studied her for a long moment. "You understand what you're proposing, using yourself as bait." "I understand." "And you're willing to accept the risk?" "I've been risking my life since I was 14 years old, Agent Chen. This is just the first time I've chosen to do it for something that matters." The silence stretched. Then Chen nodded slowly. "All right, we do this your way, but on my terms. Full surveillance, armed escorts, and the moment we identify Derek's partner, we move, no hesitation. Agreed. Chen turned to Marcus. And you, where do you stand? Marcus thought about Luna, about Elena, about the promise he'd made to protect this woman who'd been his wife's closest friend. I'm with Victoria, he said. Whatever it takes. The next 3 days were a blur of planning and preparation. Victoria returned to Chicago, taking up residence in her corporate penthouse with a full security detail. Publicly, she announced she was resuming normal operations after a brief health scare. Privately, every person who entered her building was screened, photographed, and tracked. Marcus and Luna stayed at the penthouse. It wasn't ideal. Luna missed the safe house's open spaces, but Marcus refused to let Victoria face this alone. And Luna strangely seemed at peace. We're supposed to be here, Daddy, she said on the second morning, calmly drawing at the kitchen table while Victoria took a conference call in the next room. Mommy says this is where everything comes together. What comes together, baby? Luna considered the question seriously. The truth. On the third day, Agent Chen arrived with news. We've identified Derek's partner. Victoria set down her coffee cup. Marcus moved closer. Who? Chen pulled up a photograph on her tablet. David Mercer, your chief financial officer. Victoria's face went white. David, that's not possible. He's been with me for 8 years. He helped me build this company from the ground up. He's also been siphoning funds to offshore accounts for the past 5 years. Accounts that trace directly to Derek Hayes. Chen's voice was gentle but firm. I'm sorry, Ms. Ashford. The evidence is conclusive. Victoria sank into a chair. David Mercer, her right hand, her mentor, the man who taught her everything she knew about corporate finance. Why? She whispered. We're not sure yet, but we've been monitoring his communications since yesterday, and he's scheduled a private meeting for this evening. Chen hesitated. A meeting with Derek Hayes. Marcus straightened. Derek's coming here to a warehouse in the industrial district. Mercer arranged it. He thinks he's going to hand over information about our investigation, feed Derek enough intel to escape. He's not. Victoria's voice was flat, cold. No, he's not. Chen pulled out a tactical map. We're going to let the meeting happen, let Derek think he's in control, and then we're going to take him down. The warehouse was cold and dark. Victoria stood in the shadows wearing a wire, her heart pounding against her ribs. 30 feet away, David Mercer paced nervously, checking his watch every few seconds. FBI agents surrounded the building. Snipers covered every exit. Armored vehicles waited 3 blocks away. This ended tonight. A car pulled up outside. Footsteps approached. Then Derek Hayes walked through the door. He was older than Victoria remembered, grayer, but his eyes, those cold, calculating eyes, hadn't changed at all. David. Derek embraced Mercer briefly. You've done well. I did what you asked, but this needs to end, Derek. The FBI is getting too close. The FBI is exactly where I want them. Derek smiled. By tomorrow morning, Victoria Ashford will be arrested for financial fraud. I've planted enough evidence to bury her for decades. Her company will collapse, her reputation will be destroyed, and she'll spend the rest of her life knowing that I won. Victoria's blood boiled, but she waited. Chen had been clear they needed Derek to incriminate himself fully. What about the mechanic? Mercer asked. And the kid? Loose ends. I'll handle them after Victoria is in custody. Derek's smile turned cruel. The little girl with the visions, she's interesting. Once I'm done here, I might keep her, study her, see what makes her tick. That was enough. Victoria stepped out of the shadows. You'll never touch her. Derek spun. His eyes widened. Victoria. Hello, Derek. Victoria's voice was steady despite the terror coursing through her veins. Surprised to see me. How? Your partner isn't as loyal as you think. Victoria nodded toward Mercer, who had backed away, his face ashen. The FBI turned him this morning. Everything you just said was recorded. Derek's expression cycled through shock, rage, and something that almost looked like admiration. Clever. Very clever. He reached into his coat, but not clever enough. He pulled a gun. Victoria's heart stopped. FBI, drop your weapon. Agents poured through every entrance. Laser sights painted Derek's chest like a constellation of red studding, but Derek didn't drop the gun. He pressed it to his own temple. You think I'm going to prison, Victoria? You think I'm going to let you win? He laughed, a wild, broken sound. I'd rather die. Derek, don't. Elena tried to destroy me. You tried to destroy me, but nobody destroys Derek Hayes. Nobody. His finger tightened on the trigger. Then a small voice cut through the chaos. Don't! Everyone froze. Luna stood in the warehouse doorway, Marcus behind her, his face white with horror. Luna, get back! Victoria screamed. But Luna walked forward, her green eyes fixed on Derek, completely unafraid. You don't have to do this, she said softly. My mommy says everyone deserves a second chance, even bad people. Derek stared at the little girl. His gun hand trembled. Your mommy, Elena. She was my mommy. You hurt her. You made her go away. Luna's voice was sad but steady. I should hate you, but mommy says hate just makes more hurt. Tears streamed down Derek's face. I loved her, he whispered. Before everything, before I became this. I loved her. I know. Luna reached up, her small hand touching Derek's arm. That's why it hurt so much when she tried to stop you. That's why you did bad things. Derek's grip on the gun loosened. She was going to ruin me. She was going to save you, but you were too scared to let her. Luna's eyes glistened. Mommy says it's not too late. You can still choose different. The gun clattered to the floor. Derek collapsed to his knees, sobbing like a child as FBI agents swarmed around him. Victoria stood frozen, watching a monster crumble before the simple truth of a 7-year-old girl. Marcus pulled Luna into his arms, holding her tight, tears streaming down his face. You were so brave, baby, so brave. I had to, Daddy. Luna buried her face in his neck. Mommy asked me to. The arrest of Derek Hayes made national news. Within hours, the evidence from Patterson's documents combined with Derek's recorded confession had sealed his fate. Federal prosecutors announced charges that would keep him in prison for the rest of his life. David Mercer, in exchange for his testimony, received a reduced sentence. He would spend 15 years behind bars, long enough, Chen said, to think about his choices. But for Marcus, the real victory wasn't the arrest. It was the call from the FBI's cold case unit 3 days later. Mr. Delgado, we've officially reopened your wife's case. Based on the new evidence, we're ruling Elena's death a homicide. Derek Hayes will be charged with her murder. Marcus hung up the phone and wept. 3 years. 3 years of knowing the truth and being told he was wrong. Finally, Elena would have justice. Victoria found him on the penthouse balcony, staring out at the Chicago skyline. Chen just called, she said softly. It's over. Is it? Victoria stood beside him. What do you mean? Derek's in custody, Mercer's going to prison, but Elena's still dead. Nothing changes that. Marcus's voice cracked. Nothing brings her back. No. Victoria took his hand. But she didn't die for nothing, Marcus. The fraud she uncovered, it's all coming to light now. The people Derek was laundering money for, the shell companies, the corruption, it's all being exposed. She squeezed his fingers. Elena didn't just save my life. She saved hundreds of people who would have been victims of Derek's crimes. She's a hero. Marcus looked at her. So are you. Me. You could have run, could have hidden. Instead, you stood up to the man who tried to kill you and brought him to justice. Marcus managed a small smile. Elena would be proud. Victoria's eyes glistened. I finally read her email, all of it. She pulled out her phone, showing him the screen. There was more, a part I didn't show you before. Marcus read the final lines of Elena's message. Marcus is going to save your life, Bella. But you're going to save his too. And Luna's. You're going to be the family none of us ever had. Don't be afraid of love. I wasn't. That's how I found Marcus. That's how I found you. Be brave, my sister. Be brave. Marcus looked up. Victoria was crying. I think I'm starting to understand what she meant, Victoria whispered. Victoria, I know it's too soon. I know we barely know each other, but these past few days... She took a shaky breath. I feel like I've known you my whole life, like Elena sent you to me exactly when I needed you. Maybe she did. They stood together in the cold morning light, hands intertwined, two broken people beginning to heal. Inside, Luna watched them through the window. She smiled and turned back to her drawing. 3 figures holding hands, a house by a lake, hearts above their heads, and at the bottom in careful crayon letters, family. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks of interviews, depositions, and endless meetings with federal prosecutors. 2 weeks of watching Derek Hayes' empire crumble piece by piece as investigators uncovered the full scope of his crimes. 2 weeks of trying to rebuild some semblance of normal life. But normal Marcus was learning no longer existed. He woke at 3 a.m. to find Luna standing at his bedroom door, her drawing pad clutched to her chest. Daddy! Marcus sat up instantly. He knew that tone, that look in her eyes. What did you see, baby? The bad man isn't finished. Marcus's blood went cold. Derek's in prison, maximum security. He can't hurt anyone anymore. Luna shook her head slowly. Not Derek. Someone else. Someone worse. She held up her drawing. Marcus took it with trembling hands. The image showed a figure in shadows, faceless, formless, but somehow radiating menace. Around the figure were smaller shapes. People. Falling. Who is this? Marcus whispered. I don't know, but he's angry. Derek was supposed to finish the job. Luna's voice trembled for the first time since this nightmare began. Now he's coming himself. Marcus pulled his daughter into his arms. I won't let anyone hurt you, I promise. It's not me he wants, Daddy. Luna looked up at him with those ancient green eyes. It's Aunt Bella. Victoria didn't sleep anymore. She sat in her home office at 4 a.m., reviewing the mountain of documents that Derek's arrest had unearthed. Shell companies, offshore accounts. A web of corruption that stretched across 3 continents and involved names she recognized from magazine covers and political fundraisers. Derek Hayes hadn't been a lone wolf. He'd been a soldier, a tool. Someone bigger was pulling the strings. Her phone buzzed. Agent Chen. We have a problem. Victoria's stomach dropped. What kind of problem? Derek Hayes was attacked in prison 6 hours ago. Someone put a homemade knife through his kidney. Is he dead? Not yet. But he's in critical condition and he's asking to speak with you. Victoria gripped the phone tighter. Why me? He says he has information, names, the people he was working for. Chen paused. He says they're coming for you, Ms. Ashford, and he's the only one who can stop them. Victoria closed her eyes. When can I see him? I can have a helicopter ready in an hour. Make it 30 minutes. Marcus found her in the living room pulling on her coat. "Where are you going?" Victoria hesitated. She hadn't wanted to wake him, hadn't wanted to drag him deeper into this mess. "Derek's been stabbed. He wants to talk." "Absolutely not." Marcus moved to block the door. "This is obviously a trap. Someone tried to kill him to keep him quiet, and now you're going to walk right into what, a prison hospital with FBI agents and armed guards?" Victoria's voice was steady, but her hands shook as she buttoned her coat. "I have to do this, Marcus. Whatever Derek knows, it died with Elena. It almost died with me. I won't let it die again." "Then I'm coming with you." "You need to stay with Luna. Chen can send agents." "I need you to stay with Luna." Victoria gripped his arms. "She trusts you, she needs you, and if something happens to me, nothing is going to happen to you. If something happens," Victoria continued firmly, "Luna is going to need her father. Not federal agents, not strangers. Her father." Marcus's jaw clenched. He wanted to argue, wanted to throw her over his shoulder and lock her in a room until this was over. But he looked into her eyes and saw something he recognized. The same determination he'd felt when he tackled security guards on a frozen tarmac. The same desperate need to find answers no matter the cost. "4 hours," he said finally. "If you're not back in 4 hours, I'm coming after you." Victoria kissed him. It was brief, fierce, full of things neither of them had words for yet. 4 hours, she promised. Then she was gone. The prison hospital smelled like antiseptic and despair. Victoria followed Agent Chen through 3 security checkpoints past armed guards who watched her with suspicious eyes. Derek Hayes had been moved to an isolated wing away from other inmates surrounded by federal marshals. He looked smaller than she remembered. Lying in that hospital bed, tubes snaking from his arms, his face gray and sunken. Derek Hayes looked like what he was, a dying man clinging to the last shreds of his power. His eyes opened as Victoria approached. "You came." His voice was barely a whisper. "I wasn't sure you would." "I almost didn't." Victoria pulled a chair beside his bed. "Start talking." Derek managed a weak smile. "No small talk, no gloating, I'm disappointed. You have about 30 minutes before your internal bleeding kills you or your friends finish the job. Choose how you want to spend them." The smile faded. "They're not my friends, Victoria. They were never my friends." Derek coughed and blood flecked his lips. "They were my employers." "Who?" "The consortium. That's what they call themselves. 12 men. The wealthiest, most powerful men you've never heard of." Derek's eyes glazed with pain. "They control everything. Banks, governments, media. They decide who wins elections, which companies succeed, which countries go to war." Victoria's skin crawled. "That sounds like conspiracy theory nonsense." "Does it?" Derek laughed bitterly. 6 months ago, I was worth $2 billion. I had politicians in my pocket, judges on my payroll, law enforcement looking the other way. "How do you think I got that power, Victoria? Hard work." She said nothing. "The consortium recruited me 15 years ago. They saw potential, ambition, a willingness to do whatever it took to win." Derek's voice hardened. "They gave me everything: money, connections, protection. All I had to do was follow orders." "What orders?" "Acquire companies, launder money, eliminate problems." Derek met her eyes. Elena was a problem. Victoria's fists clenched. Elena was investigating fraud at her own company. Your fraud. Their fraud, I was just the face. Derek coughed again. Elena found documents that led back to the consortium, names, account numbers, proof of crimes that would bring down governments. She was going to expose everything. So you killed her. I gave the order, someone else pulled the trigger. Derek's face twisted. I didn't want to. I loved her once, Victoria, in my own broken way, but the consortium doesn't accept failure. They told me to handle it or be handled myself. Victoria stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. You're a coward. You murdered an innocent woman to save your own skin, and now you want sympathy. I want you to survive. Derek grabbed her wrist with surprising strength. They know I failed. They know you have the documents. They know about the mechanic and his daughter, the girl who sees things. Victoria yanked her arm free. What about her? The consortium collects people with gifts, psychics, savants, anyone who might give them an edge. Derek's eyes were wild now, desperate. They'll take her, Victoria. They'll take that little girl and turn her into a weapon. Unless you stop them. How? There's a file on my personal server, encrypted. The password is Elena's birthday. Derek's breathing grew labored. It contains everything. Names of all 12 members, their companies, their crimes, their weaknesses. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm dying, because I'm tired of being afraid, though. Derek's grip on her wrist returned weaker this time. Because Elena deserved better. And maybe if I help you destroy the people who made me into this monster, God will show mercy on my soul. Tears streamed down his ruined face. I'm sorry, Victoria, for everything. Tell the mechanic I'm sorry, too. Tell him Elena's death wasn't personal. It was business. I'll tell him nothing. Victoria's voice was ice. You don't get forgiveness, not from me, not from him, not from anyone. Derek smiled sadly. I know, but at least I tried. His eyes closed, the heart monitor flatlined. Doctors rushed in shouting orders, pushing Victoria aside, but she knew it was over. Derek Hayes' murderer monster, and in the end, Broken Man was gone. And somewhere out there, 12 men were coming for everyone she loved. Victoria called Marcus from the helicopter. Derek's dead. Good. He gave me information before he died. There's a shadow organization behind everything. They're called the Consortium. Victoria's voice was tight. They know about Luna Marcus. They want her. Silence on the other end. Marcus. How long do we have? I don't know. Days, maybe hours. What do we do? Victoria thought about Derek's file. The names, the proof, the chance to bring down an empire. We fight. She landed at 6 a.m. to find chaos. Police cars surrounded her building. Agents ran in every direction. Someone was screaming. Victoria's heart stopped. Marcus! She pushed through the chaos, fighting her way to the penthouse elevator. Agent Chen intercepted her. Ms. Ashford, wait. Where are they? Where are Marcus and Luna? They're safe. They're in the secure room. Chen grabbed her shoulders. Someone tried to breach the building 30 minutes ago. Armed men. Professional. How many? 6. We neutralized 4. 2 escaped. Victoria's legs nearly gave out. They were here, already, while I was gone. Marcus handled it. Chen's voice carried a note of respect. He heard them coming, got Luna to the safe room, held them off until backup arrived. Is he hurt? Minor injuries. He refused medical treatment until you returned. Victoria ran. She found Marcus in the safe room, Luna pressed against his chest, both of them alive and whole and beautiful. Victoria. She threw herself into his arms. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have been here. You were doing what you had to do. Marcus held her tight. We're okay. We're all okay. Luna looked up at Victoria with solemn eyes. I told Daddy they were coming. He believed me. Victoria knelt beside the little girl. Of course he did. Your daddy always believes you. Will they come back? Victoria looked at Marcus, at Luna, at these 2 people who had become her entire world in just a few weeks. They'll try, she said honestly, but they won't succeed, because we're going to stop them first. The next 48 hours were a blur of preparation. Victoria accessed Derek's server. The encrypted file was exactly where he'd said it would be. Elena's birthday, March 15th, unlocked a treasure trove of horror. Names. 12 names. Some she recognized. A media mogul, a tech billionaire, a former cabinet secretary, a shipping magnate. Men whose faces smiled from magazine covers, whose philanthropic foundations fed children and built hospitals. Men who had ordered murders, toppled governments, and accumulated power that made Derek Hayes look like a small-time crook. This is insane. Agent Chen stared at the files spread across Victoria's conference table. If this is real, it's real. Then we're talking about the biggest criminal conspiracy in history. We'd need years to build cases against these people. Decades. We don't have decades. Victoria's jaw set. We have days, maybe less. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we skip the legal system entirely. Chen's eyes widened. Ms. Ashford. These men own judges, Chen. They own prosecutors. They own politicians. Victoria's voice was hard. The only way to beat them is to expose them publicly, all at once, before they have time to cover their tracks. That's vigilante justice. That's survival. Marcus had been listening from the doorway. How would you even do it? He asked. Expose 12 of the most powerful people in the world simultaneously. Victoria smiled grimly. I own the 4th largest media company in the country. I have relationships with every major news outlet in the world, and thanks to Derek's files, I have enough evidence to bury these men 10 times over. They'll kill you before the story airs. Not if they don't see it coming. Victoria turned to Chen. I need 48 hours. Complete media blackout on our investigation. Publicly, I'm traumatized by the attempt on my life and retreating from public view. Privately, I'm preparing the biggest expose in journalism history. Chen hesitated. This is way above my pay grade. Then don't ask permission. Ask forgiveness. Victoria met her eyes. You became an FBI agent to protect innocent people, didn't you? To bring criminals to justice. These men are the biggest criminals in the world. Help me stop them. The silence stretched. Then Chen nodded slowly. 48 hours. After that, this goes through official channels whether you're ready or not. Deal. Luna found Victoria in her office at midnight. The little girl stood in the doorway, her drawing pad under her arm, her expression serious beyond her years. You're scared. Victoria set down her pen. What makes you say that? Your face looks like Daddy's did after Mommy died. Luna climbed into the chair across from Victoria. All tight and hurting. Victoria smiled sadly. You're very observant. Mommy said I see too much sometimes. Luna was quiet for a moment. Can I show you something? She opened her drawing pad to a page Victoria hadn't seen before. The image showed 3 figures standing on a cliff. Behind them, darkness. Before them, light. Their hands were joined, and around them words spiraled in Luna's careful handwriting. Love, truth, family, courage, hope. What is this? Victoria whispered. It's how we win. Luna's green eyes were steady. The bad men think they're strong because they have money and power, but they're not strong, they're empty. That's why they're scared of people like Mommy and me. People who see the truth. What truth? That love is stronger. Luna reached across and took Victoria's hand. Mommy loved you. She loved Daddy. She loved me. And that love didn't die when she did. It's been waiting, growing, getting ready for this moment. Tears streamed down Victoria's face. I don't know if I can do this, Luna. These men, they've been winning for decades. Who am I to think I can stop them? You're Elena's sister. Luna squeezed her hand. You're Daddy's heart. You're my new mommy. She smiled a child's smile, innocent and sure. And you're not alone. Victoria pulled the little girl into her arms and held on like she was drowning. I love you, she whispered. Both of you. So much. I know. Luna's voice was muffled against Victoria's shoulder. That's why we're going to win. The broadcast was scheduled for 8 p.m. Eastern. Every major network had been contacted. Every newspaper, every online outlet, every journalist Victoria trusted had been given pieces of the story embargoed until the moment of release. The consortium's crimes would be exposed simultaneously across the entire world. Marcus stood beside Victoria as the clock ticked down. Having second thoughts, terrified second thoughts, Victoria's hands wouldn't stop shaking. In 12 minutes, I'm going to make enemies of the most powerful people on Earth. There's no going back after this. There was never any going back. Marcus took her hands, steadying them. The moment you stepped off that helicopter and demanded they check for a bomb, that was the moment you chose this path. No. Victoria shook her head. The moment I chose this path was when I read Elena's email. When I understood that she'd been trying to protect me even from beyond the grave. Her voice cracked. I spent 3 years ignoring her final message. 3 years while you and Luna suffered. I can't undo that, but I can make sure her death meant something. It already means something. Marcus cupped her face. It brought us together. It gave Luna another mother. It gave me another chance at love. He kissed her forehead. Elena didn't die in vain, Victoria. She died for this, for us, for whatever comes next. Luna appeared beside them holding a new drawing. It's time. Victoria looked at the image. 12 figures in shadow crumbling into dust. Above them a phoenix rising silver and gold, spreading wings of fire. My logo, Victoria breathed. The phoenix. Mommy says it's you. Luna smiled, rising from the ashes. The clock struck 8. Across the world, televisions flickered. Phones buzzed. Computers pinged with breaking news alerts. Victoria's face appeared on every screen, calm and resolute, about to set the world on fire. Good evening. My name is Victoria Ashford, and I'm about to tell you a story that will change everything you think you know about power. The first consortium member was arrested within an hour. By midnight, warrants had been issued for all 12. Markets crashed. Governments scrambled. The world reeled as the scope of the conspiracy became clear. And in a Chicago penthouse, 3 people watched history unfold. We did it. Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. We actually did it. Victoria leaned against him, exhausted beyond measure. It's just beginning. The arrests, the trials, the cleanup, it'll take years, maybe decades. But we started it. No. Victoria looked at Luna, who had fallen asleep on the couch, her drawing pad still in her arms. Elena started it, years ago. We just finished what she began. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I never told you this, but when Elena was dying in those last moments before the crash, she called me. Victoria turned to face him. The connection was terrible, static, breaking up. But I heard her say 2 things. His voice cracked. Take care of Luna and find Bella. Tears spilled down Victoria's cheeks. She knew. Even then, she knew we'd need each other. She knew everything. Marcus pulled Victoria close. She was the best of us, and now because of her, because of you, the world is going to change. Outside, sirens wailed. Somewhere powerful men were learning that their empire had fallen. But inside that penthouse, surrounded by the family Elena had built for them, Victoria finally let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, they were going to be okay. Luna stirred in her sleep. Mommy says goodnight, she murmured. She says she's proud. Victoria and Marcus exchanged a glance. Then they gathered the little girl between them, held on tight, and watched the dawn break over a world that would never be the same. 6 months. 6 months since the broadcast that shattered the world, 6 months of trials, testimonies, and revelations that kept the entire planet glued to their screens. 6 months of watching the most powerful men on Earth fall one by one like dominoes. Victoria stood at the courthouse steps, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. Beside her, Marcus held Luna's hand. Behind them, Agent Chen led a handcuffed figure toward a waiting prison transport. Jonathan Merrick, the last of the consortium's 12, media mogul, philanthropist, monster. Ms. Ashford, how does it feel to bring down the most powerful criminal organization in history? Victoria stepped toward the microphones. It doesn't feel like victory, she said quietly. It feels like justice. Long overdue justice for Elena Delgado and everyone else these men destroyed. What's next for you? Victoria looked at Marcus, at Luna, at the future she'd never dared to imagine. What's next is living, something I forgot how to do for a very long time. She turned away from the cameras and walked toward the car, her family beside her. But not everyone was celebrating. That night, Victoria found Marcus sitting alone in the dark. She'd woken at 2 a.m. to find his side of the bed empty. They hadn't made their relationship official yet. Separate bedrooms, careful boundaries, Luna's well-being above all else, but she'd grown accustomed to knowing he was nearby. Safe. Marcus. He didn't turn around. I testified today. His voice was hoarse. About Elena, about the crash, about everything I knew and couldn't prove for 3 years. Victoria sat beside him. I know. I watched. They showed photo of the wreckage. Of her. He couldn't finish. Victoria took his hand. You don't have to be strong all the time, not with me. I spent 3 years being told I was crazy, that Elena's death was an accident, that I needed to move on, get therapy, stop seeing conspiracies everywhere. Marcus's voice cracked. And then today a federal prosecutor stood up and said I was right, that my wife was murdered, that everything I believed was true. That should feel good. It doesn't. Marcus finally looked at her. His eyes were red-haunted. It feels like I failed her. I knew the truth, Victoria. I knew it in my bones. And I couldn't save her. I couldn't protect her. You couldn't have known. I should have. The night before she died, Luna drew that picture. The airplane with broken wings. I laughed it off. His voice broke completely. I laughed at my daughter's warning, and the next day my wife was dead. Victoria pulled him into her arms. Listen to me. Elena's death is not your fault. It's not Luna's fault. It's the fault of evil men who made evil choices. You did everything you could with the information you had. It wasn't enough. It was enough to save me. Victoria held his face in her hands, forcing him to meet her eyes. When you saw that device on my helicopter, you didn't hesitate. You didn't doubt yourself. You trusted your instincts and your daughter, and you saved my life. That was different. How was it different? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Because this time I had something to prove. This time I refused to be the man who looked away. He exhaled shakily. I couldn't save Elena, but I could save you. I had to save you. And you did. Victoria kissed his forehead. You did, Marcus. Elena would be so proud of you. Would she? She sent us to each other. She planned this somehow, knew it would happen. Victoria smiled through her tears. That woman loved you with everything she had, and she loved you enough to make sure you wouldn't be alone after she was gone. Marcus broke. 3 years of grief, guilt, and suppressed anguish poured out of him. Victoria held him while he sobbed, stroking his hair, whispering words of comfort that she'd never had anyone to say to her. They stayed like that until dawn. Luna found them asleep on the couch the next morning. She stood in the doorway, her drawing pad under her arm, watching them with an expression that was ancient and childlike at once. "Mommy says it's time." Victoria stirred. "Time for what, sweetheart?" "Time to stop being scared." Luna climbed onto the couch, wedging herself between them. Marcus woke, blinking in confusion. "Luna, what?" "You're both sad. I can feel it." Luna looked from one to the other. "You love each other, but you're scared to say it. Scared because of Mommy." Victoria's breath caught. "Luna, Mommy's not sad about it. She's happy." Luna's green eyes were shining. "She says she picked Aunt Bella for Daddy a long time ago, before I was even born. She says you were always supposed to be together." Marcus stared at his daughter. "How do you know that?" "She told me, last night, in my dream." Luna pulled out her drawing pad. "Look." The picture showed 3 figures, a man, a woman, and a child, standing together. Above them, a 4th figure floated in clouds, smiling, arms outstretched. Around the floating figure, Luna had written, "Mommy says yes." Victoria felt tears streaming down her face. "She really said that. She said you're supposed to be my new mommy, not to replace her, never to replace her, but to love me and Daddy the way she can't anymore." Luna's voice was steady, certain. "She said she waited 3 years for this, for you two to find each other, and now you're being silly and scared, and she's getting impatient." Despite everything, Marcus laughed. "That sounds like Elena. She also said to tell you something." Luna fixed her father with a serious look. "She said, remember our first dance? The song that was playing? That's how I feel about this." Marcus went pale. "What was the song?" Victoria asked. "At last." Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. "Etta James. Elena cried when it played. She said she'd been waiting her whole life for that moment, for me." Luna nodded solemnly. "She's been waiting for you to have that moment again. With Aunt Bella." She yawned. "Can I have pancakes now? All this messenger stuff makes me hungry." Victoria laughed through her tears and pulled the little girl close. "You can have anything you want, sweetheart. I want pancakes, and I want you to be my mommy for real." Luna looked up at her. "Can that be arranged?" Victoria looked at Marcus. He looked back at her. And something that had been building for months, carefully suppressed, deliberately ignored, finally broke free. "Yes," Marcus said, his voice rough. "I think that can be arranged." The trial of Derek Hayes's posthumous crimes concluded 3 weeks later. Victoria testified for 8 hours over 2 days. She recounted everything: the helicopter bomb, Patterson's murder, the consortium's reach, and Derek's final confession. The courtroom sat in stunned silence as she described the moment she learned her best friend had been murdered to cover up corruption. When she finished, the lead prosecutor approached the bench. "Your Honor, the evidence presented conclusively proves that Derek Hayes orchestrated the murder of Elena Delgado Martinez, the attempted murder of Victoria Ashford, and numerous other crimes in service of the organization known as the Consortium. We ask that the record reflect these findings and that appropriate restitution be ordered for the victims." The judge nodded gravely. "The court accepts the prosecution's findings. Let the record show that Elena Delgado Martinez was murdered by agents of Derek Hayes acting on behalf of the Consortium. Her death was not an accident. It was an assassination." Marcus, sitting in the gallery, let out a sound that was half sob, half laugh. 3 years. 3 years of fighting to have his wife's murder acknowledged. It was finally over. After the hearing, Victoria found him standing alone outside the courthouse. "How do you feel?" "Empty." Marcus stared at the sky. "I thought I'd feel relieved, vindicated, but I just feel hollow. That's grief. It doesn't go away just because you get answers." "I know." He turned to look at her, but something else happened in there. When the judge said Elena's name, when he said she was murdered, I felt this weight lift, not the grief, something else. What? The doubt, the constant second-guessing. The voice in my head that said I was wrong, that I was crazy, that I should just accept the official story and move on. Marcus exhaled slowly. That voice is finally quiet. Victoria took his hand. Good, because you're not crazy, Marcus. You never were. You were the only one brave enough to see the truth when everyone else was looking away. I couldn't have done it without you. You started this long before I came along. No. Marcus shook his head. I started this as a desperate man throwing himself at walls. You're the one who showed me how to fight smart, how to win. We won together. Yes. Marcus squeezed her hand. We did. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Marcus spoke again. Victoria, I need to tell you something. What? Elena's journals. The ones Chen recovered from Derek's files. There's more in them. Things I haven't shared yet. Victoria's heart quickened. What kind of things? Plans, dreams, things Elena wanted to do before she died. Marcus pulled a worn notebook from his coat. She was developing an app, software that would help children with special needs communicate through art. She called it Luna's Voice. Victoria took the notebook with trembling hands. She named it after your daughter. Luna's gift, her visions, her drawings. Elena wanted to find a way to help other children like her. Kids who see the world differently. Kids who get dismissed or ignored because they don't communicate the way everyone expects. Victoria flipped through the pages, diagrams, code snippets, design mock-ups. This is incredible. How far did she get? About 60% done when she died. I didn't have the skills or the resources to finish it. Marcus looked at her. But you do. Marcus, Elena wanted you involved. She wrote your name in the margins. Show Bella. Ask Bella about UI. Bella would know how to market this. His voice cracked. She was going to reach out to you. To reconnect. To bring you into this project. And then Derek killed her. Victoria closed the notebook. I'll finish it. What? I'll finish what Elena started. Luna's Voice. I'll put the full resources of my company behind it. Hire the best developers and we'll launch it exactly the way she envisioned. Victoria's voice was fierce. Her work isn't going to die with her, Marcus, not anymore. Marcus pulled her into his arms. Thank you, God, Victoria, thank you. Don't thank me. Thank Elena. Victoria held him tight. She's the one who brought us together. The least I can do is carry her dreams forward. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Victoria assembled a development team for Luna's Voice, the best coders, designers, and child psychology experts money could buy. She gave them Elena's notes and one simple directive: make it perfect. Meanwhile, Marcus transitioned into his new role as Director of Aircraft Safety for Ashford Dynamics. Victoria had created the position specifically for him, a way to use his mechanical genius while ensuring no one ever had to experience what he'd been through. You're really going to let a grease monkey run your aviation division? Marcus asked when she offered him the job. I'm going to let the man who saved my life use his talents to save others. Victoria smiled. Unless you'd rather stay in the hangar. The hangar was fine. The hangar paid you $42,000 a year and let your supervisor ignore your safety reports. This job pays $300,000 plus benefits and you answer directly to me. Marcus stared at her. $300,000? I could make it $4 if that's a problem. Victoria, you're not a charity case, Marcus. You're the best aircraft mechanic I've ever met, and you have an instinct for identifying problems that most engineers miss. Victoria's voice softened. You saved my life because you trusted your gut when everyone else told you to shut up. That kind of judgment is invaluable. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Okay, he finally said. But I have conditions. Name them. Name. Luna comes to work with me on school holidays. I'm not leaving her with strangers. Done. What else? If I see something unsafe, anything, I have authority to ground it. No questions, no delays, no VIP exceptions. Absolutely. What else? Marcus hesitated. I want to investigate Elena's crash, officially, with your company's resources. Victoria didn't hesitate. Approved. Just like that. Just like that. She took his hand. Elena deserves a proper investigation, one that wasn't compromised by Derek's influence, and if there are other crashes that were covered up, other victims who deserve answers, we're going to find them. Marcus squeezed her fingers. Have I told you lately that I love you? Not in the last hour. I love you, Victoria Ashford. I love you too, Marcus Delgado. She kissed him softly. Now get to work. We have a lot of people to save. Luna's 8th birthday fell on a Saturday in late spring. Victoria rented out the entire floor of the city's best children's museum for the party. Luna had exactly 4 friends from school, quiet, thoughtful girls, who didn't mind that she was different, and they spent the afternoon exploring interactive exhibits while Marcus and Victoria watched from a distance. She's happy, Marcus said. Really happy. I don't think I've seen her like this since before Elena died. She told me last night that this is the best year of her life. Victoria leaned against his shoulder. She said having a mommy again made everything better. You're good with her. She makes it easy. Victoria smiled. She's so much like Elena. The way she sees the world, the way she expresses herself. Sometimes I look at her and I see my best friend staring back at me. I know the feeling. They watched Luna laugh at something one of her friends said, a full, bright laugh that echoed through the museum. I want to adopt her, Victoria said quietly. Marcus went still. What? Legally, officially, I want her to be my daughter in every way that matters. Victoria turned to face him. If something happens to you, if something happens to both of us, I want the world to know that Luna is mine, that she belongs to me, that I'll protect her with everything I have. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. Victoria, I know we haven't talked about marriage yet. I know we're still figuring things out. But this Luna, this I'm sure about. Victoria's voice shook. I love her, Marcus. I love her like she came from my own body, and I want everyone to know it. Marcus pulled her into his arms. Yes, he whispered. Yes, absolutely yes. Really, really. He held her face in his hands. Luna already thinks of you as her mother. Making it legal just confirms what everyone already knows. I want to tell her today, at her party. Then let's tell her. They found Luna at the gift shop, carefully selecting a small snow globe with a butterfly inside. Luna, sweetheart, can we talk to you for a minute? Luna looked up, her expression curious. Is something wrong? No, baby. Something's very right. Marcus knelt beside her. Aunt Bella, Victoria, she wants to ask you something. Victoria crouched down to Luna's level. Luna, you know how much I love you, right? Yes. And you know that your mommy, your real mommy, will always be Elena. Nothing changes that. She'll always be your first mom, the one who gave birth to you and loved you from the very beginning. I know. Luna's eyes were solemn. She's my forever mommy. That's right. But I was wondering, Victoria's voice trembled. I was wondering if you'd let me be your mommy too, not to replace Elena, never that, but to love you and protect you and be there for you officially, legally, for always. Luna's face transformed. You mean, you want to adopt me? If you'll have me. Luna threw her arms around Victoria's neck. Yes, 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 yes. Victoria laughed and cried at the same time, holding the little girl tight. I love you so much, Luna. I love you too, Mommy. Luna pulled back, her face shining. Real Mommy. Forever Mommy #2. Marcus wrapped his arms around both of them. Our family, he whispered, finally complete. Luna looked up at him with those knowing green eyes. Not yet, Daddy, but soon. What do you mean? Luna just smiled mysteriously. You'll see. The adoption papers were filed the following Monday. Agent Chen expedited the process. A thank you, she said, for everything Victoria had done to bring down the consortium. Within 6 weeks it was official. Luna Delgado was now Luna Delgado Ashford. To celebrate, Victoria took them to the Lake Geneva house, the safe house that had sheltered them during the darkest days. It had been purchased through proper channels, now renovated, transformed from a fortress into a home. I thought we could spend weekends here, Victoria said as they walked through the front door. Get away from the city, let Luna run around outside. It's beautiful. Marcus pulled her close. But you didn't have to buy a whole house. I wanted to. This place means something. This is where we became a family. Luna ran through the rooms, claiming the bedroom with the lake view as her own. Can I have a treehouse, Daddy, and a dock for fishing? And maybe a dog? We'll see about the dog, Marcus laughed. That means yes. Luna vanished down the hallway. Victoria and Marcus stood in the living room listening to their daughter's excited footsteps overhead. I never thought I'd have this, Victoria said quietly. Have what? A family. A real one. She turned to face him. I grew up in foster care, Marcus. I learned early that family wasn't something I got to have. It was something that happened to other people. And now I have Luna, I have you. I have this ridiculous house by a lake and a company that actually means something and friends who would take a bullet for me. Victoria shook her head. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and can't believe it's real. It's real. Marcus kissed her forehead. It's all real, and you deserve every bit of it. I love you. I love you too. He pulled back, his expression suddenly nervous. Which is why I need to ask you something. Victoria's heart skipped. What? Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. I was going to wait, find the perfect moment, but standing here in this house where everything changed, this feels right. He opened the box. A ring sparkled inside, simple, elegant, a single diamond surrounded by smaller emeralds, the color of Luna's eyes. Victoria Ashford, you saved my daughter's life by believing in her when no one else would. You saved my life by giving me something to fight for again. You honored my wife's memory by finishing her work and carrying her love forward. Marcus dropped to one knee. I know this is fast. I know we've only been together for months instead of years. But I also know that Elena saw this coming from the beginning. She knew we belonged together. She planned this somehow from beyond the grave. Tears streamed down Victoria's face. Marcus, let me finish. He took a shaky breath. I'm not asking you to replace Elena. No one could. But I'm asking you to build something new with me. A life, a family, a future that honors everything we've lost while celebrating everything we've found. He held up the ring. Victoria Ashford, will you marry me? Yes. The shout came from the stairs. Luna stood there bouncing with excitement. She says yes, Daddy, I already know. She says yes, yes, yes. Victoria laughed through her tears. She's right. Yes, absolutely yes. Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger and kissed her deeply. Luna launched herself at them and they caught her together, holding tight, 3 hearts beating as one. Mommy says congratulations, Luna whispered. Victoria looked up, and for just a moment, a single impossible moment, she could have sworn she saw Elena standing in the doorway, smiling, finally at peace. Then the vision faded, but the love remained. 2 years had passed since the hangar. 2 years since Marcus Delgado threw himself in front of security guards to save a woman he'd never met. 2 years since Luna held up a crayon drawing and told a billionaire CEO that her helicopter would explode. 2 years since Elena's final gift brought 3 broken souls together. Now Victoria stood in that same hangar, her heart pounding against her ribs, watching workers transform the space that had nearly been her tomb into something beautiful. Nervous. She turned. Agent Chen. No, just Sophia now. Friend and witness stood behind her holding 2 cups of coffee. Terrified, Victoria admitted. You faced down international criminal conspiracies, testified before Congress, and rebuilt a $4 billion company from the ground up. And you're terrified of getting married. The other stuff was easier. Victoria took the coffee with trembling hands. The other stuff didn't require me to be vulnerable. Sophia laughed. Victoria Ashford admitting to vulnerability. Never thought I'd see the day. A lot of things have changed. For the better, clearly. Sophia nodded toward the far end of the hangar where Marcus was helping direct the florists. That man looks at you like you hung the moon. He looks at me like I'm human. That's rarer. Victoria watched Marcus laugh at something one of the workers said. Before him, everyone saw the CEO, the brand, the empire. Marcus just sees me. And that's scary. It's everything. Luna appeared racing across the hangar floor in her flower girl dress, her blonde hair streaming behind her. Mommy, mommy, come quick. Victoria's heart seized. Luna only called her that when something was wrong or overwhelmingly right. What is it, sweetheart? Come see. Luna grabbed her hand and pulled. It's ready. Everything's ready. She led Victoria to a small anteroom that had been set up as a bridal suite. Inside, hanging from a stand, was a dress Victoria had never seen before. Where did this come from? The gown was exquisite, ivory silk with delicate lace sleeves, simple, elegant, nothing like the designer options Victoria's stylists had presented. Daddy had it made. Luna bounced on her heels. From Mommy's dress. Victoria stopped breathing. From Elena's dress, her wedding dress. It was in storage. Daddy said she would want you to have it. Luna's green eyes shimmered. He said it's like having her here with us. Victoria sank into a chair. I can't. Luna, I can't wear your mother's dress. That's too much. But she wants you to. Luna climbed into her lap. She told me, last night. She said the dress was waiting for you all along. Baby, she said to tell you. Remember when we talked about our dream weddings? Remember what you said? Victoria's breath caught. She did remember. A late night in their dorm room, 19 years old, dreaming about futures that seemed impossibly far away. I said I wanted something simple, Victoria whispered. I said I wanted to wear a dress that meant something. Not something expensive, something with a story. This dress has a story. Luna touched the silk reverently. Mommy wore it when she married Daddy. Now you're going to wear it when you marry him too. It's like she's passing him to you, officially. Victoria couldn't hold back the tears anymore. She pulled Luna close and sobbed into her daughter's hair while the little girl patted her back with all the wisdom of an old soul. It's okay, Mommy. Happy crying is allowed at weddings. An hour later, Victoria walked down the aisle. The hangar had been transformed beyond recognition. White roses cascaded from every surface. Twinkling lights created a canopy overhead. 500 guests, employees, friends, FBI agents who had become family rose as the music began. But Victoria only saw one person. Marcus stood at the altar, his eyes fixed on her, tears streaming freely down his face. He wore a simple dark suit, no tie, exactly the way he'd looked that first night. when he'd knelt beside Luna and begged Victoria to check her helicopter. She walked alone. No one to give her away. She'd chosen her own path, chosen this life, chosen this family. When she reached the altar, Marcus took her hands. "You're wearing Elena's dress. Luna told me she wanted me to." "She did." Marcus's voice broke. "You look like an angel. You look like the man who saved my life. I look like the man who got the luckiest break in history." He squeezed her fingers. "Ready to do this. I've been ready since the moment you threw yourself in front of those security guards. That was insane. That was love. We just didn't know it yet." The officiant, a federal judge who had presided over the consortium trials, cleared his throat. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in a place of profound significance. 2 years ago in this very hangar, an act of extraordinary courage changed the course of many lives. Today we celebrate the love that was born from that courage." Victoria barely heard the formal words. She was drowning in Marcus's eyes in the future she could see reflected there. "The couple has prepared their own vows. Marcus took a shaky breath. "Victoria, 2 years ago I was a broken man. I'd lost my wife. I was barely holding on for Luna's sake. I'd forgotten what it felt like to believe in anything." He swallowed hard. "Then I saw a wire that shouldn't exist. And something in me, something I thought had died with Elena, woke up. I couldn't let another person die because I was too afraid to act. I couldn't fail again." Victoria gripped his hands tighter. "I didn't save you that night, Victoria. You saved me. You gave me back my belief in justice. You gave Luna a mother who sees her gift as beautiful, not broken. You gave me something I never thought I'd have again, hope." He lifted her hand to his lips. "I promise to love you through every storm, to celebrate every success, to fix every broken thing in our lives except the cracks where love grows strongest. Because those cracks are what let the light in. And you, Victoria Ashford, are my light." Victoria was crying openly now. "Victoria," the judge prompted gently. She took a deep breath. "Marcus, before I met you I had everything. Money, power, a company that spanned the globe, and I had nothing that mattered." Her voice trembled. "I grew up without a family. I built walls around my heart so high that no one could climb them. I convinced myself that love was weakness, that vulnerability was danger, that the safest way to live was alone." She shook her head. Then a mechanic in grease-stained coveralls tackled security guards and screamed about a bomb. Then a 7-year-old girl showed me a crayon drawing and told me her mommy sent her to save me. Victoria looked at Luna standing beside them, her face radiant. "Elena Delgado was my best friend, my sister in everything but blood. She died believing that someday, somehow we would find each other. She orchestrated this from beyond the grave, the most extraordinary act of love I've ever witnessed." She turned back to Marcus. "I promise to honor her memory by loving you completely, to never stop believing in Luna's impossible dreams, to choose you every single day in every single way for as long as we both live." Her voice strengthened. "You saw me when I'd forgotten how to be seen. You trusted me with your daughter and your heart. You showed me that empires mean nothing without family." She squeezed his hands. "I was lost. You found me, and I will spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret it." The judge smiled through his own tears. "By the power vested in me by the state of Illinois and the United States federal court system, I now pronounce you husband and wife." He looked at Marcus. "You may kiss your bride." Marcus pulled Victoria into his arms and kissed her deeply. The hangar erupted in cheers. Luna launched herself at them and they caught her together, holding tight, 3 hearts finally won. "We did it, Mommy," Luna whispered. "We're a real family now." We were always a real family, sweetheart. Now we just have the paperwork. The reception flowed seamlessly from the ceremony. Tables filled the transformed hangar. Music played Elena's favorite songs, carefully curated from her old playlists. Victoria had insisted on including them, turning the celebration into a tribute as much as a party. Agent Chen rose to give a toast. 2 years ago, I got a call about a mechanic who had tackled security guards at a private airfield. I thought I was going to arrest a lunatic. She raised her glass. Instead, I found a hero, and then I found 2 more. She turned to the newlyweds. Victoria Ashford faced down the most powerful criminal conspiracy in history and won. Marcus Delgado trusted his instincts when everyone told him he was crazy, and Luna... She smiled at the little girl. Luna saw the truth when the rest of us were blind. The crowd murmured agreement. To Marcus and Victoria, may your marriage be less eventful than your courtship, but equally powerful. Glasses clinked throughout the hangar. Victoria leaned close to Marcus. Less eventful sounds nice. Don't count on it. We have Luna. As if summoned, their daughter appeared beside them. Can I give my toast now? Victoria blinked. You prepared a toast. I've been preparing it for 6 months. Luna climbed onto her chair, pulling a crumpled paper from her flower girl basket. Everybody listen. The room fell silent. Luna unfolded her paper with great ceremony. When I was 5, my mommy died. I was really sad. Daddy was really sad. Everything was dark and scary. Her small voice carried clearly across the hangar. Then Mommy started visiting me in my dreams. She told me to be brave. She told me that someone was coming, someone who needed us as much as we needed her. Luna looked at Victoria. Aunt Bella was scared when I first met her. She tried to hide it, but I could tell. She was scared of the helicopter and scared of Derek and scared of being alone. Victoria felt Marcus squeeze her hand. I'm not supposed to tell people what I see in my dreams. Daddy says it freaks them out. Luna shrugged. But I knew Aunt Bella would understand. I knew she was special like Mommy. She looked down at her paper. Mommy told me that real families aren't made from blood. They're made from love, from choosing each other every day, from holding on when everything is hard. Her green eyes rose. Daddy chose Mommy when he married her. Then Mommy chose Aunt Bella by sending us to her. And Aunt Bella chose us by loving us even when it was scary. Luna folded her paper carefully. I don't know what's going to happen next. That's not how my dreams work. They show me pieces, not everything. But I know one thing for sure. She climbed down from her chair and walked to Victoria. Mommy picked the right person. You're exactly who we needed. And I'm really, really glad you said yes to Daddy. Victoria pulled Luna into her arms, crying too hard to speak. Marcus wrapped them both in his embrace. That's my girl, he whispered. That's my amazing, impossible girl. The reception continued until the early hours. Victoria danced with Marcus to At Last, Elena's song, their song now. She danced with Luna to silly pop songs that made them both laugh. She danced with Sophia Chen, with former FBI agents, with employees who had become friends. But as the night wound down, she found herself standing alone at the spot where her helicopter had once waited. The spot where she'd almost died. The spot where her life had truly begun. Hey, Marcus appeared beside her, jacket, discarded tie, long gone. Can't sleep. Don't want to. Victoria leaned into him. I keep thinking, what if you hadn't been working that night? What if your supervisor had actually listened to your report? What if Luna hadn't had her dream? Then you'd be dead, and I'd still be broken. Marcus kissed the top of her head. But that's not what happened. No, that's not what happened. They stood in comfortable silence. I want to show you something, Marcus said finally. He led her to a small table near the altar where gifts had been piled. From beneath the stack, he retrieved a worn leather journal. What is this? Elena's last journal, the one she was keeping when she died. Marcus's voice was steady, but his hands trembled. I've read it 100 times, but there's one entry I've never shared with anyone. He opened to a marked page and handed it to Victoria. The entry was dated 2 weeks before Elena's death. Victoria read aloud, her voice shaking. Something's coming. I can feel it in my bones the way I felt it before Luna was born. That sense of inevitability of fate clicking into place. I've tried to tell Marcus, but I don't have the words. How do you tell your husband that you might be dying, that the people you're investigating might be coming for you? So instead, I'm writing this for whoever finds it. If I die, find Bella. She's the strongest person I know, even though she doesn't believe it. She spent her whole life running from love because she's terrified of losing it. But she's capable of more than she realizes. Find Bella. Give her my family. She'll resist at first, she always does, but eventually she'll understand. Luna will help. Luna sees things. She'll know what to do, and Marcus, my beautiful, stubborn, loyal Marcus, he'll fight it. He'll think he's betraying me by loving someone else, but he won't be. He'll be honoring me. He'll be completing the family I always wanted for him. I don't want to die, God. I don't want to leave them. But if I have to, if there's no other way, then at least I know they'll be okay. Bella will take care of them, and they'll take care of her. That's all I ever wanted. Victoria closed the journal. Tears streamed down her face. She knew, Victoria whispered. She planned everything. She saw it coming, just like Luna does. Marcus took her hand. Elena's gift wasn't as strong as Luna's, but it was there. She sensed things, felt patterns that others missed. She gave us to each other. She gave us a chance. We did the rest. Victoria looked at the journal in her hands, the final thoughts of her best friend, her sister, the woman who had loved her enough to orchestrate her own replacement. I'm going to make her proud, Victoria said fiercely. I'm going to love you and Luna with everything I have. I'm going to build the life she dreamed of for us. We already are, Marcus pointed across the hangar. Luna had fallen asleep on a pile of coats, her flower girl dress rumpled, her hair wild, her face peaceful. Beside her lay her drawing pad open to a fresh image. Victoria walked over and picked it up. The drawing showed a house by a lake. 3 figures stood in front, 2 tall, 1 small. Above them, a 4th figure floated in clouds, arms outstretched, surrounded by hearts. At the bottom, Luna had written home. Victoria sank down beside her daughter and stroked her hair. Thank you, sweetheart, for everything. Luna stirred. Is the party over? Almost. Time to go home. Which home? The city or the lake? Victoria smiled. Whichever one you want. Luna considered this seriously. The lake. Mommy says she likes it there. She can see the water from heaven. Marcus joined them, scooping Luna into his arms. The lake it is. They walked out of the hangar together, the place where death had been cheated and love had been born. Behind them, workers began dismantling the decorations. The roses would wilt, the lights would come down. By tomorrow, the hangar would be just a hangar again. But what had happened there would never fade. The drive to Lake Geneva took 2 hours. Luna slept the entire way, her head on Victoria's lap, her small hand clutching a fold of Elena's dress. Marcus drove in comfortable silence, his free hand resting on Victoria's knee. They arrived at dawn. The house glowed in the early morning light, welcoming them home. Victoria carried Luna inside while Marcus brought in their bags. I'll put her to bed, Victoria said. I'll make coffee. It's 5 in the morning, and neither of us is sleeping. Marcus kissed her cheek. Go. I'll wait. Victoria carried Luna upstairs. The little girl's room had been decorated exactly as she'd requested: purple walls, glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. A mural of butterflies that Victoria had commissioned from a local artist. She tucked Luna into bed, smoothing the wild blonde hair away from her face. "I love you, baby." "Love you too, Mommy." Luna's eyes fluttered open. "Mommy says she's going now." Victoria's heart clenched. Going where? Away, for real this time. Luna's voice was drowsy but certain. "She says her job is done. She says she can rest now that we're all together." "Luna, don't be sad. She's happy. She got to see the wedding. She got to see you and Daddy promise forever." Luna yawned. "She says thank you for loving us, for being brave." "Tell her." Victoria's voice broke. "Tell her I'll take care of you. Always." "She knows." Luna's eyes closed. She always knew. Her breathing deepened into sleep. Victoria sat beside her for a long time, watching the rise and fall of her daughter's chest, feeling the weight of Elena's trust settling onto her shoulders. She could do this. She would do this. For Luna, for Marcus, for Elena, for herself. When she finally went downstairs, Marcus was waiting with coffee and a question in his eyes. "Luna said Elena's moving on." Marcus nodded slowly. "I felt it too. During the ceremony, this sense of completion, like something that had been waiting finally found its ending." "Are you okay?" "I think so." He handed her a cup. "Elena was the love of my life, but she's gone. And you're here. Both things can be true." "I don't want to replace her." "You're not. You're not her replacement. You're her continuation. Everything she was, everything she believed in lives on through you." Marcus touched her face. "She chose well. So did you." They sat together on the porch, watching the sun rise over Lake Geneva, their shoulders touching, their futures intertwined. "What happens now?" Victoria asked. Now we live. We raise our daughter. We launch Elena's app. We build something that matters." "Sounds simple when you say it. It won't be simple. It'll be messy and hard and complicated." Marcus smiled. "But we'll figure it out, together." Victoria leaned into him. "I used to think I had to do everything alone, that asking for help was weakness. And now I think the bravest thing I ever did was let you catch me when I fell." Marcus pulled her close. "Mrs. Delgado. Mrs. Delgado Ashford." "Right. My apologies." He grinned. "Mrs. Delgado Ashford, I intend to spend the rest of my life catching you. In case you were wondering. I was hoping you'd say that." They sat in peaceful silence as the sun climbed higher. Inside the house, Luna dreamed of butterflies and birthday parties and a mother who had finally found her rest. Her drawing pad lay open beside her bed, filled with images of the future, a baby brother with Marcus's brown eyes, a company that helped children speak through art, a family that grew stronger with each passing year. She didn't know when these things would happen. She didn't know exactly how, but she knew with the certainty that had guided her since the day her gift awakened that everything would be all right. Mommy had promised, and Mommy's promises always came true. 6 months later, Luna's voice launched to global acclaim. The app did exactly what Elena had envisioned. It helped children with special needs communicate through art, through drawing, through the universal language of images. Within a year, it had been downloaded 10 million times. Within 2 years, it was being used in schools across 40 countries. Victoria made sure Elena's name was on every press release, every interview, every award ceremony. This was her dream, she told reporters. We just helped it come true. Marcus stood beside her at every event, Luna between them, their family united in purpose and love. And somewhere Elena watched and smiled. Her work was done. Her family was whole. Her legacy would live forever. 3 years after the hangar, Victoria gave birth to a son. They named him Noah Marcus Delgado Ashford, a new name for a new beginning. Luna held her baby brother in the hospital room, her face full of wonder. "I knew he was coming," she said. "I've known for years." "Why didn't you tell us?" Victoria asked, exhausted but radiant. "Because some surprises are worth keeping." Luna kissed Noah's tiny forehead. "Besides, you figured it out eventually." Marcus laughed and pulled his family close. "Thank you," he whispered to Victoria, "for everything. Thank Elena. She started this. She started it. You finished it." He kissed her softly. "We all finished it together." Through the hospital window, morning light streamed in golden and warm. Victoria looked at her husband, her daughter, her newborn son, the family she'd never dared to dream of, built from tragedy and trust and the love of a woman who had seen the future and shaped it with her dying breath. This was her life now. This was her home. This was her everything. And it had all started with a mechanic who wouldn't give up, a little girl who saw too much, and a crayon drawing that said, "Sad Lady." She wasn't sad anymore. She never would be again. Because Victoria Ashford had learned the truth that Elena had known all along: family isn't blood. Family isn't paperwork. Family is the people who catch you when you fall, who believe in you when you've stopped believing in yourself, who choose you every single day in every single way. She'd been chosen. And she would spend the rest of her life earning that gift. The helicopter hangar had been converted into a museum. Not officially, just unofficially, in the hearts of everyone who knew the story. Visitors came, sometimes curious about the place where a bomb had been found and a love story had begun. Victoria didn't mind. Let them come, let them see, let them understand that miracles happen every day if you're brave enough to believe in them. She stood there now, 5 years after the night that changed everything, watching Luna, 12 years old and brilliant, explain the exhibits to her little brother. "This is where Daddy tackled the guards," Luna said, pointing to a spot near the door. "And this is where Mommy's helicopter was, and this is where I showed her my drawing." Noah's eyes were wide. "Were you scared?" "A little. But Mommy, my first mommy, told me what to do. She said Aunt Bella needed us. She said we had to be brave. And you were. We all were." Luna took her brother's hand. "That's what family means, Noah. Being brave together." Victoria felt Marcus slip his arm around her waist. "Happy? So happy it scares me sometimes." "Good." He kissed her temple. "That's how you know it's real." They stood together, watching their children, surrounded by memories of the past and promises of the future. And in the golden light of a Chicago afternoon, with the ghosts of yesterday finally at peace, and the dreams of tomorrow finally within reach, Victoria Ashford, who had once believed she'd die alone, knew that she had found what she'd been searching for her entire life. Not power, not money, not the empire she'd built with her own 2 hands. Just this, just them, just love. The mechanic who saved her, the daughter who saw her, the son who completed them, the friend who orchestrated everything from beyond the grave. This was her beginning. This was her forever. This was her family, and nothing, not death, not darkness, not all the forces of evil in the world would ever take it away. That was the promise Victoria Ashford made in that hangar, surrounded by roses and memories and the infinite possibility of tomorrow. And it was a promise she intended to keep. The end.